Strait of Hormuz. 3 U.S. warships in the strait faced an intense Iranian assault today.
The Pentagon now says a U.S. Navy destroyer shot down several missiles and drones that were launched from Yemen.
President Trump has directed U.S. Central Command to restart the free flow of commerce through the Strait of Hormuz.
5:17 local time, Strait of Hormuz. Right now, the water around a U.S. carrier strike group looks almost peaceful. Flat gray sea, light haze, merchant traffic already forming its morning lanes. Deck crews move with routine precision aboard the carrier, tractors towing munitions, yellow shirts signaling, pilots climbing ladders into cockpits. They have no idea that beyond the horizon, 46 Iranian fast attack craft and 8 missile boats are already pushing hard out of concealed positions near Keshem, Larak, and Bandar Abbas. The clock is ticking. In less than 20 minutes, this narrow channel, one of the most strategically critical waterways on Earth, is going to turn from a shipping corridor into a kill zone. Imagine you're here. You're standing on the flight deck of a Nimitz-class carrier with the smell of jet fuel in the air and the heat already building off the non-skid deck. To your north, Iran's coastline is close enough to matter. To your south, Oman. Around you, 1 carrier, 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, 1 guided missile cruiser, and an attack submarine below the surface form a moving fortress worth tens of billions of dollars and carrying more than 6,000 personnel. Behind that formation sits something even more valuable than steel and aircraft: the credibility of American sea power in the Gulf. This waterway handles a massive share of the world's seaborne oil traffic. Every tanker captain in the region knows it. Every military planner knows it. So does Tehran. And that's why this scenario matters. Because in the confined geography of the Strait of Hormuz, distance collapses fast. Missiles have less room to warn. Boats have less room to hide once they're found. Pilots have less time to debate. A decision that feels strategic in a capital city becomes brutally simple out here. Detect. Classify. Decide. Fire. At 0519, the Iranian plan is already in motion. From the enemy's point of view, it looks smart. Cheap boats against expensive ships. Speed against caution. Numbers against rules of engagement. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy has built its reputation around this exact concept: swarm tactics. Don't fight the carrier on its terms. Overload it. Rush from multiple bearings. Mix civilian traffic, coastal clutter, drones, decoys, and anti-ship missiles. Force hesitation. Force confusion. Force 1 American commander to make 1 catastrophic delay. Their attacking package is built for shock. The first line is 46 fast inshore attack craft, many armed with heavy machine guns, rockets, and short-range anti-ship weapons. Behind them come 8 larger missile boats carrying sea-skimming anti-ship missiles. Overhead, 6 one-way attack drones are programmed to approach low and late, more distraction than knockout punch. Along the coast, mobile anti-ship missile batteries wait under camouflage nets, betting that if the boats can pull the American screen outward, even briefly, a missile shot might get through. The strategic calculation is simple. Humiliate the carrier group. Damage even 1 escort. Force Washington to react. Show the region that the narrow waters near Iran are not truly controlled by the United States. Politically, militarily, psychologically, that matters. And for a few minutes, the men giving those orders believe they can do it. But there's a problem with their plan. Actually, several. What they didn't account for is not just American firepower. It's American system integration. They're imagining a visual-range knife fight. The U.S. Navy is already fighting a networked battle. Their boats are fast, yes. Dangerous, yes. In crowded waters, absolutely. But speed only helps if you remain unclassified long enough to close. Surprise only matters if the other side sees you late. And that is the flaw in their thinking. Because while those crews believe they are stalking a giant, the giant has already begun tracking the hunt. At 0521, an E-2D Advanced Hawkeye orbiting high above the strike group starts flagging abnormal surface movement from multiple launch points along the Iranian coast. Its radar picture doesn't show 1 fishing cluster or 2 random patrols. It shows organized acceleration, converging vectors, formation behavior, the kind of pattern that makes trained operators stop breathing for half a second. Then the cruiser's Combat Information Center confirms it. Spy radar tracks. Electro-optical feeds. Signals intercepts. Data fusion sharpens the picture in seconds, not minutes. Now you're there. You're in that darkened CIC, red lighting, consoles glowing, voices clipped and calm. Somebody says, multiple fast contacts. Bearing 028. Speed 40+ knots. Count increasing. No panic. Just procedure. But the room changes instantly. You can feel it. Tactical action officer notified. Air wing ready room alerted. Escorts shift formation. The outer screen widens. Helicopters are ordered up. Electronic warfare teams begin preparing jamming packages. Ship captains request weapons type authority clarification, because in waters like these, the difference between fishermen and attackers can still matter until it suddenly doesn't. Then comes the confirmation nobody wants and every commander needs. The Iranian boats do not disperse. They do not answer bridge-to-bridge warnings. They do not alter course away from the formation. They accelerate. That changes everything. On the carrier, the order hits the flight deck like electricity. Launch the alert fighters. Super Hornets begin spooling immediately. F divided by a -18E and F divided by a -18F crews already at high readiness slam canopies shut as deck crews pull chocks and point them toward the catapults. You hear the engines first, that deep metallic howl building to violence. Then the catapult shot. One jet. Then another. Then another. In seconds, the first section is airborne, climbing hard into the brightening Gulf sky. This is where the Iranian assumption collapses. They thought they were rushing ships. Instead, they've triggered a layered kill chain. The first aircraft up are tasked for rapid maritime strike and identification. Behind them comes an A-18G Growler, its role not glamorous but decisive, to fracture communications, blind emitters, and turn coordination into chaos. MH-60 are Seahawks launch from the escorts, dipping low, moving outward with radar and targeting sensors looking for the forward edge of the swarm. Above all of it, the Hawkeye keeps painting the whole board. Could you make that call? You're the carrier strike group commander. Merchant shipping is nearby. Cameras are recording. One mistake becomes a global headline. Wait too long, and a missile boat gets inside lethal range. Fire too early, and you ignite a regional crisis. That's modern naval warfare in confined seas. Not clean. Not theoretical. Decision under compression. At 0527, the leading Iranian boats cross the line from dangerous to unmistakably hostile. Missile boat radars flicker active. 2 drones break from the coastal clutter. A forward group of fast craft splits into 3 attack axes, classic swarm geometry, designed to force defensive fire in multiple directions. Weapons free. And the engagement begins. The first destruction comes from the air. A pair of Super Hornets drops low enough to visually sort the lead boats, then climbs and rolls in. Precision-guided munitions hit the front missile boat first, turning its launch rails into a fireball. Seconds later, another strike rips through 2 fast craft running line abreast, hulls thrown sideways by overpressure. Then the pilots switch to cannon passes and follow-on guided shots against isolated groups that are still trying to sprint forward. Not a warning. Not a test. A live maritime execution. But the swarm is too big to stop with one pass. More boats keep coming. At 0529, for Iranian missile boats launch. The anti-ship missiles skim low over the water, using the sea itself as cover. This is the dangerous moment. Sea skimmers in confined waters compress reaction time brutally. The destroyers respond instantly. Aegis combat systems assign tracks. Standard missiles leap from vertical launch cells in white-hot columns, pitching toward the threat. 1 intercept. 2. 3. The 4th missile survives the first layer only to meet an ESSM shot from the cruiser. It vanishes in a bright flash over open water. The sky doesn't clear. It gets busier. Those 6 drones arrive next, low and offset, trying to distract sensors and pull fire control away from the boats. CRAM engages one. A Super Hornet splashes another with a short burst. Electronic attack severs the guidance path of 2 more, sending them tumbling into the Gulf. The remaining pair get close enough to matter before 20mm phalanx guns open up, radar-guided streams of tungsten shredding both targets into burning fragments. Listen to the rhythm now. Missile launch. Intercept. Rotor wash. Radio calls. Cannon fire. The deep crack of naval guns. This is no longer a single battle. It's several happening at once. At the surface, the inner layer takes over. MH-60 our Seahawks move into their element, fast, low, lethal. Using targeting systems and guided weapons, they begin peeling away the swarm's flanks, hitting boats that are too small for big missiles but too dangerous to ignore. One helicopter crew calls out 5 contacts weaving through wake trails and tanker traffic. They attack in sequence, disciplined, almost clinical. Splash 1. Turn. Splash 2. Reacquire. Fire again. Meanwhile, the destroyer's 5-inch guns begin speaking. Guided by radar and visual confirmation, they bracket the densest clusters before walking shells directly through them. A fast attack craft at 40 knots is a hard target for the untrained eye. Against a modern US surface combatant integrated into a full combat network, it becomes a problem of math. Still, some of them keep pushing. This is the part people misunderstand about swarm attacks. Even when they are failing, they remain terrifying. Because all it takes is one Lika, one boat with rockets, one missile with good timing, one crew close enough to believe martyrdom is momentum. At 0533, 11 surviving fast craft surge through smoke and spray, trying to exploit the chaos from a new bearing. For a moment, from the deck of the outer destroyer, it looks ugly. Range collapsing. White wakes slicing in. Guns traversing. Small targets bouncing violently. Sailors strapped behind remote weapon stations can now physically see the threat, not just track it.
Heart pounding. This is real.
The destroyer answers with layered close defense. Mk-38 cannons hammer the lead boats. Heavy machine guns join in. The sea around the attackers erupts in tall white columns. One craft flips completely over after a direct hit. Another slews sideways and burns. A third keeps charging, engine screaming, until a Seahawk catches it from the flank and rips it apart. The survivors scatter for 2 seconds, regroup, then try again. Fatal mistake. Because those 2 seconds are enough for the Super Hornets to come back around. This time they arrive coordinated. One section suppresses the missile boats that had stayed farther back. Another section works the surviving fast craft with precision weapons and strafing passes. An A-18G continues to jam Iranian communications, turning what was supposed to be a coordinated swarm into isolated acts of bravery and confusion. Some boats no longer know who is leading. Some think they are farther ahead than they are. Some are chasing wakes and smoke. Now shift perspective. From the Iranian side, what was meant to be a predator rush has become disorientation. Their screens are cluttered. Their radios are broken or screaming. Aircraft they cannot catch are striking from beyond effective reply. The American formation is not panicking. It is absorbing, sorting, and eliminating. By 0538, the battle's outcome is no longer in doubt. But U.S. doctrine does not stop at survival. Because if the boats came alone, they could be written off as a reckless provocation. If they are linked to coastal missile batteries, drone launches, and command coordination, then they are part of a broader attack architecture. And leaving that architecture intact means inviting a second wave. So the request goes up the chain. Authorization to conduct counterstrike against confirmed launch sites, coastal targeting radars, and naval staging points directly supporting the attack. In a scenario like this, the legal and military foundation is immediate self-defense. No dramatic pause. No cinematic conference room. Commanders already know the ladder they are climbing. The only real question is scale. The answer comes fast. Neutralize the network. At 0541, the response expands from tactical defense to systematic destruction. The first targets are the eyes and hands of the attack. Super Hornets armed for suppression streak toward coastal radar positions on Keshem and Larak. Anti-radiation missiles go first, homing on the emitters that had illuminated the sea lanes. Radar vanishes. Then precision weapons follow into command shelters, communications nodes, and missile revetments. You don't just kill the shooter. You blind the finder, sever the talker, and crater the launcher. From farther offshore, Tomahawk cruise missiles launch from the strike group's escorts and submerged attack submarine. Their targets are not cities. Not indiscriminate punishment. Specific military infrastructure, fast boat pens near Bandar Abbas, fuel depots sustaining sortie rates, drone support sites, ammunition storage, and command facilities coordinating the attack. The philosophy is pure modern warfare.
Deny the next shot.
Deny the next week of shots. Deny the confidence to try again. Within minutes, secondary explosions begin popping along the coastline. A camouflaged missile battery on Abu Musa is hit and cooks off. A fuel yard near a naval pier burns in thick black columns. A communications building goes dark. Boat shelters that looked threatening at dawn are suddenly wreckage and fire. And above all of it, the carrier air wing keeps cycling.
Launch. Refuel. Rearm. Relaunch.
This is where industrial military power becomes visible. Iran rushed dozens of boats. The United States answers with an air wing, a missile arsenal, real-time ISR, electronic attack, surface fires, submarine fires, and enough endurance to do it again at sunset. For every move in the original attack, There is now an American reply aimed not just at the weapon used, but at the institution behind it. That matters. Because the most decisive counterattacks in modern warfare are not emotional. They are calculated demonstrations. They tell the enemy exactly what was destroyed, exactly why it was destroyed, and exactly what will happen if the chain is rebuilt. At 0549, the last organized Iranian surface contacts are either retreating, sinking, or dead in the water. Rescue calls begin. Some small boats flee toward the coast at maximum speed.
None are still charging. The hunt is over.
But the operation continues long enough to make the lesson permanent. A final strike package hits hardened storage areas tied to anti-ship missile resupply. Another attack suppresses surviving coastal surveillance assets. A destroyer maintains air defense posture in case of a retaliatory ballistic or cruise missile shot that never comes. The submarine stays silent and unseen, the reminder beneath the reminder. Then, just as fast as it began, the violence begins to collapse into aftermath. Total duration, 42 minutes. Less time than a morning commute. Less time than a football halftime. Enough time to alter the military balance of an entire stretch of coastline. Final tally in this fictional scenario: 54 Iranian boats committed to the attack. 38 destroyed outright. 11 disabled or abandoned. 5 escaped. 14 anti-ship missiles and 6 drones launched in support. All neutralized before inflicting strategic damage. On the American side, 3 sailors wounded by fragmentation during the close surface engagement, 1 helicopter lightly damaged by debris, no ship sunk, no carrier flight operations halted. And that ratio tells its own story. Minute 6, detection becomes certainty. Minute 10, the first Super Hornets are airborne. Minute 17, the outer missile threat is broken. Minute 24, the swarm's momentum collapses. Minute 42, the launch network ashore is burning. What does that reveal? That modern naval combat, especially in a place like the Strait of Hormuz, is no longer about who shows up with the most courage. Courage matters. But courage without integration gets erased. Boats without air cover die. Missiles without targeting die. Drones without coordination die. Doctrine without information dies fastest of all. And there's the deeper lesson. Carrier groups are not just big ships with jets. They are layered combat ecosystems. Eyes in the air. Missiles at range.
Guns up close.
Electronic warfare in the middle. Command decisions compressed into seconds, but backed by decades of training. That is why a tactic that looks terrifying on paper can unravel in contact with a force built to see first, decide first, and strike first. So how does this change your view of modern warfare? Share your take. Subscribe to join the discussion.